Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Advocate for Me podcast. We have a special treat. I always be bringing y'all the good people. So I'm so excited. So I'm going to briefly tell how I met Latoya, and then I'm going to let her introduce herself. So Latoya Washington and I are both in the When Women Empower with Dr. Tiffany Harris. And we met, I believe we were on a Zoom and on our Thursday meetings. And then Latoya had her own separate workshop, and I jumped in on that. And when I tell you that was powerful, it was powerful. I was in my car just like shouting and everything. I'll let her explain more, but I was in the car shouting and everything. And then one of our meetings in When Women Empower, they had it where they had the breakout rooms. And I had the opportunity to be in the breakout room with Latoya, and we were just talking with another sister friend in our group, and I just found like so much. She was a wealth of information. And then we just was at the When Women Empower brunch. And congratulations to her. She got a citation and everything. And I was so excited for her. And then we both walked up to each other, giving each other hugs. And I was like, you got to be on the podcast. And she was like, yes. And she was like, you got to be on mine. So we have her today. I'm so excited to have Latoya Washington here with us. Hey, Latoya. Hey, Sister Friend.
Hi, beautiful. I am so happy to be here and just support you and to just share and have a sister conversation tonight. So thank you for having me, love.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for saying yes. And like Dr. Tiffany Harris
That's
says,
right.
just say yes. Like we
Yes.
gotta say yes. Once we say yes, gotta open up the doors. So I'm glad you was able to join with us today. So tell the audience, who is Latoya
Yes.
Washington?
Well, first and foremost, I just thank God. I thank God for you, Levon. My name is Latoya Washington. I'm from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, small town, but it's the capital of PA, so representing. I'm married to my amazing husband, David Washington. We have a business titled RhemaCreationz, where we share the gospel creatively any and everywhere we go with our shirts. I'm also an author, a podcast host. That's what I do outside of my 9 to 5 job, my Monday through Friday job. I work in the group home facility, creating plans, support plans for our individuals diagnosed with autism, cerebral palsy, MH. That's what I do during the day. So many, many hats. But most importantly, I'm just a daughter of the King. I'm so excited that the Lord has placed so much within me and gives me the strength to be able to maneuver each and every day. So that's just who I am.
Awesome, awesome. So with your group home, because I know you said so for Advocate for Me, the podcast, and Advocate for Me in general, we work with the special needs population. And so we have families who who have children who may be diagnosed with autism, cerebral palsy. I have a friend in Ohio. Her son is diagnosed with cerebral palsy, and she's advocating all around the city as well as the world, sharing her, using her voice to, represent her son. And so, working in the group home, I know you said you wear many hats. So in the group home setting, what would you say your title is, and then how do you influence and encourage the families in the group home?
Well, my title is specifically considered a program specialist. Some organizations call it a clinical specialist, but of course, we focus on the clinical aspect, mental health, medical diagnoses, even underlying conditions that may not have been diagnosed correctly. We work with the providers as well, whether it's medical, the psychiatrists. We work closely with the supervisor of the group home, the nurse of the organization, the day program, because some of our individuals are, participate in day services. So we're a part of that as well. And I write some of the support plans, like dental, communication. It all lines up with their ISP or individual support plan, but also lining up with their needs must be person specific because everybody communicates differently. So we see how much that has transitioned and changed over the years. Since I've been in this field, I started in 2004 in this field, and so much has changed. We are incorporating more assistive technologies. We are incorporating AI and how we can use Alexa and all these different things, even for our individuals who are now older. So the youngest individual I work with is in their 30s, but going all the way up to almost 70. So we see how that even changes every year. So when I create those plans, it also must go through an assessment process and what has grown, what has regressed. So observation is key in working with the individuals in the group home. So it's a lot that goes to it. One thing I will say is every day is different. It may seem like it's going to be, oh, this is going to be a simple day. Yeah, right. Okay. That can change
Yeah.
very swiftly. Everything could be calm at 1 minute, and then all of a sudden, someone might go into, a crisis, or someone who has physically aggressive behavior. We may need to reach out to now the behavior support specialists and see what strategies we need to do or what things we need to change. And all of that is person specific to the individual. Um, Also getting myself out of the situation, to not turn everybody into your child or cousin. You have to separate yourself. And even
Yeah.
though, you want to put your hands to things, we don't want them to lose their independence, even though we could do it faster. We want them to still have that independence. So there's so much to that.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Just with because we're a resource organization, so I do get a lot of phone calls, with parents who ask about like adult day services, or, is there a program that my child can go to, um, and it seemed like it stretched really thin once they reach like the adult population. When they're younger, they have like a lot of programs, but then once they turn 18 and 21, it seemed like they kind of like dwindle down. Do you have anything like to share with the audience, like what could be their next steps when their child is going into adulthood? Like what different like services or programs they can be
Oh,
interested in?
yes. And you hit it right on the nail. This is a challenge that this year I was blessed to be able to go to the autism conference, the National Autism Conference, and that was one of the biggest questions that I asked, because sooner or later your child is going to be an adult, right? That's the development. That's just the cycle of life. But we have not put many measures in place to prepare families, unfortunately. So you'll see where, mom might be 60, 70, but her 30 and 40-year-old son is getting stronger and stronger. Behaviors are increasing. They
Mhm.
also have medical components that are complex. And it's just like, I can't take care of my child. But like you said, there's not many services. Uh, it seems to be just nationally. This is a concern for all families.
Yeah.
One thing I recommend is connecting with parent groups. Also, there is an organization called PAR. They have so many different resources. You may look them up, I believe, by state. I'm in Pennsylvania, so it would just be PAR in my case. But there's so many family organizations that come together, groups, and they come together with resources as well as financial. So I definitely recommend that. Um, we have day programs for adults where maybe their child can go to a day program if possible. If their supports coordinator can coordinate that at a whether a monthly or a critical revision meeting, or just like, hey, can we have a meeting as a team and get together? That's what we do for the individuals that I work with. We have like monthly treatment team meetings to see what is working, what isn't working. Um, Also jobs. You'd be surprised how many of our adults who may be diagnosed with cerebral palsy or MH, but they can also know how to wash dishes. They know how to do laundry. So what about getting them into some volunteer opportunities or maybe work a job 2 days out of the week? There's job coaches out there for families who may say, I don't feel comfortable with my child working, but we can work up to that, right? You can get with a job coach. I had an individual years ago who started his own business. I'm like, oh my gosh, these little things are so amazing. And it seems far fetched, but it is possible. It takes time, it takes support, it takes patience with the families as well as with the participant because it's person specific. So you need to see what dynamics are
Mhm.
going to work for your child or not. But again, I will say get with families, get with friends, reach out to your local and state agencies, your supports coordinator. Hopefully, your child may have one. ODP is who we work through, Office of Developmental Programs. They have a plethora of information on their website as well.
Awesome, awesome. You said Office of Development
Yes, Office of
Programs?
Developmental Programs or ODP for short. Yep, you can reach out to
Okay.
them. Now, I'm just used to the Pennsylvania ODP, so of course it may vary
Mhm.
depending on the state.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. Yeah, when I get those phone calls, because my resource bank right now, I think it
Mhm.
stops at 18. So a lot of the parents that I do talk to, I refer them to
Yes.
ARC. Or to yeah, or but now you just gave me a couple of more resources to
Yeah.
put in my bank.
You're
So
welcome.
thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yeah, I know when I'm out, about shopping and stuff, and I'll run across an individual with disabilities, and I just be like, yes, they working, they out in the field, they do the job
Mhm.
pretty much
That's
better than
it.
some other people. Because I would like, thank you for, like they'll greet you with the warm smile, and they're there, and they're excited
Mhm.
and happy to be, to be in the workforce. So thank you for all that you do for your clients and getting their support plans together. I work with the babies, so I'm kindergarten and first grade, second grade. So I get them in the beginning. You'll
Oh,
catch them in the later years. Um, but I know, sometimes the aggressiveness and stuff, they're still learning how to
mhm.
manage and deal and, interact with others. So, like you said, we never have the same day over and over again. It's always something different. So we definitely, we love what we do. We definitely love what we do. And a lot of people say, well, I couldn't do it.
Mhm.
No, you could if you just got had the patience and the will to be able to help someone. So again, I commend you for all that you do for our families and our individuals. So let's spin over because like you said, you wear many hats. So let's talk about RhemaCreationz. So I know you said it's a business with you and your husband,
Yes,
correct?
yes. So backdrop to this, it's so funny how God does things. So I had wanted to do a t-shirt years ago. So I was a young guy who was in high school. He didn't even graduate yet. So we see how long ago that was. And it was 2011. And so I had this t-shirt logo designed, everything, but never moved forward in it. And it didn't launch until me and my husband reconnected after 15 years. We met in college and we ended up getting married and we launched a t-shirt and all kinds of stuff. And God just blessed it. So it launched in 2018, but the vision was given in 2011. So it went from a t-shirt to now going into books, to courses, to connection with other organizations, profit and nonprofit, helping with homeless, helping with, housing, all kinds of stuff. I'm like, my God, didn't really know or understand, Levon, what was going on because it was just so much that it seemed our hands was in. But now I understand
Mhm.
because of the time we're living in, we need all hands on deck for each other. Nothing against the government, nothing against the local and state officials, but we need each other. And you'd be surprised how many organizations out there that can help with food, that can help with clothing, all kinds of things. So that is what we do with RhemaCreationz.
Awesome. Can you tell the audience what RhemaCreationz, like, was it a what how did you guys come up with the name? Because I know you said the vision came in 2011. So did you and your husband come up with the name, or you already had the name in
No, in
2011?
2011 there was a different name. It was actually more so a purpose to motivate and encourage the youth. And we know that young people love to be hip. Me too. I'm 42, but I'll throw me on some Nikes and a t-shirt. Right?
Yes,
I'm an
yes.
80s baby, so 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 the young people
Yes.
they love to look hip and things like that. So that was more so where the design was focused. But RhemaCreationz, we came together with that because Rhema is a timely word. And so the creations that God was giving us was timely. Like all our designs were not just by happenstance. It was time went into that. We had a marketing firm that came together and we said, listen, this is what we want the vision to be. We wanted the bread of life. We wanted the water, to come all together. And they designed us phenomenal designs, logo. And that's how it was birthed. It was timely creations. And when people look at our shirts, they're like, what does that mean? And that's when we start talking about the gospel. We start talking about Jesus and
Mhm.
talking about our journey. So it is, we're grateful for that.
Awesome, awesome. So let's talk about the journey then. Let's talk about the
Yes.
journey. Because when you were talking about vision, like God gives you a vision, and like you said, it was 2011, but it didn't launch until 2018. And depending on that time frame, like life is happening. We like, oh, I'll get back to it. But when God gives you a vision, especially if it's like down deep in your belly, and you're supposed to run with this and do this, like you said, once you guys launched it, God was providing people for you. He was bringing, the marketing firm. He was bringing people to help out. And then you were extending to other people to help out. Just thinking that it was a t-shirt, but here now you're helping the homeless. Here you're helping this family. You're helping that family. And just seeing the hands that's, taking part in it, as well as being a blessing and receiving, what you guys are doing with RhemaCreationz. So talk about the journey. Share your journey with the families, of how, God has blessed you, even in spite of, like, even when you didn't, think you deserved it, and grace and mercy blessed you as well. So
Oh
share with
man,
the audience.
Lavon, it has really been a journey. It has been, um, you know, I'll be transparent. It has had high and low moments. God did not show me or my husband doing any of this. I think sometimes people think you're gonna get this big picture. No, many times it was just like go out there and no, that's it. Go do this, go connect with this, and I'm like, I don't know that person, but go there. Okay, but I don't know that person, God. Well, what? Who? How's it gonna look? And from that, from obedience, many times, sometimes fearful, scared, in unfamiliar territories, uncharted plains and things like that. It was a little challenging. Um, and people only see the fruit now. So you see the awards and stuff, but there was so much behind that. Because I'm gonna tell you, when I got that citation, I was like, and my husband's name was included, it did something to me internally because it's like, wow, God really sees. He really saw like the behind the scenes, early morning, late nights, and meetings and dropping off diapers. And, he saw that. We never told nobody that. We never, but it just, phone calls and prayers over the phone because people are needing a place to stay. And you hear the unstable mindset. You hear the double minded. You hear the schizophrenia on the phone. And you're like, okay, can we pray? And that person stops and settles themselves and it's like, thank you, Lord. But that private behind the scene work, that journey was real. It was a lot of boots on the ground, a lot of getting in the trenches a lot of times where me and my husband didn't really have much food, but yet people were asking for food. Right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Oh my
look,
God.
tell the story,
They
Latoya.
asking for food. And I'm
Tell the
like,
story.
oh, okay. This is my last $20, and we ain't even got the money to get our own self something to eat. This is our
Mhm.
last. And so now looking back, I give God praise for that, because when I tell you, Levon, in that moment, it could have been like, why you doing that? Right? But just something deep inside,
Mhm.
we're
Mhm.
believers. So something deep inside is like, you know what? I know God
Yes.
gonna take care of us, right now. And I ain't too proud to beg. Listen, I'll take myself working my 9 to 5 job right on down to that food bank and say, listen, this week is rough. I need something, and I'm
Mhm.
gonna make it stretch. But I thank God that He
Yeah.
always took care of me and my husband. I lied to you not. He always did. Didn't know where the money was coming
Mhm.
from. We've had events. People have, hey, listen, what do you need? They have given, they have donated, they have supported. And that's from obedience. That's not because of us. It's because
Mhm.
God said, listen, this is what I want you to do. And you didn't have a blueprint. We didn't have anyone ahead of us that did a podcast. No one in my family that I know of has written a book. My aunts have been featured in writings and things like this, but we didn't know how to write a book. So it was a journey. It really was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you talked about that word obedience because I was going to say it, but you just said it too. Like you and your husband was being obedient to, helping others, and God saw that, and so, and then He continues to bless you because you're blessing others. So, I just want to thank you and your husband for being obedient and still pushing through. Because trust me, I know. I just shared this with we had a our conference, our virtual conference, and so I'm gonna share it on the podcast too. But I was in the car, and I was because I'm be honest, most of advocate for me is personal money, like from taking from my 9 to 5, and and putting into it. We'll be going on I think 7 years now, and so it's like, okay, God, like when the big thing gonna come? Because I have people coming to me. We have the magazine, we have this. We about to launch another T-shirt brand, and it's like, okay, God, my personal money keep going in, and my kids keep sacrificing, and they're older now, so they understand now. When they was younger, they be like, "Oh, what you doing? We going where?" Like my daughter just went to an event with me on Saturday, and that was actually a blessing in itself. My son's foundation, we donated kits to the Ronald
Yeah,
McDonald House, and we also donated our
wonderful.
children's books. And I got this email saying we're giving you 2 complimentary tickets to their 50th anniversary. So my daughter went with me because my son he calls himself an introvert, so he doesn't he doesn't want to go. So my
Yeah,
daughter went with me, but just being in this space and that environment, like you said, you be like, "Oh God, like who I'm supposed to talk to? What I'm supposed?" And there was
yeah,
some big wigs in there. I'm just saying, there was some people with
right.
deep pockets, and I was just like, should I say something? I
Yeah,
just smiled. I just smiled, and they waved, and I waved, and I was just like, but in being in the environment, and it's been a couple times that God has put me in places, and I'm like, God, am I supposed to be here? But then at the end of the night, I understand why He put me there, to share my story, to share my son's story, to share other people's stories, and to be their voice. And so when you say that God puts you in different places and different environments, it's our obedience that He sees. He sees, He's watching to see, okay, is she going to be obedient? Is he going to be obedient? And what I need them to do in this journey, in this walk. Because it's not easy building a business from
no,
scratch. And, we have mentors and coaches now, but in the
mhm,
beginning, we didn't have it. We just saw a
that's it.
dream, a vision,
That's
and a
it.
need, and we ran with it.
And and
And
I was going to
so,
say, when you were talking, I immediately thought of that scripture where it says, Your gift will make room for you and bring you before great men. And many times is that, we just focus so much on the money aspect. But God has shown us his favor. Like we
Exactly.
in rooms that, like you said, you in rooms like, okay, this person got moolah, but God's like, okay, how you gonna act when you in that room and you just say, how you doing? Just a kind, ain't going crazy, ain't tripping. So I thank God for you bringing that up, because that's so true. God is opening up doors for us that, listen, we in rooms with people that it's like, okay, I'm gonna act normal. Right? I'ma just be cool, calm, collected,
Yeah.
and if it's meant for us to connect, it will happen.
It will happen. Yeah, I've had people just from seeing like my book on social media. And what's that? It'd be like the meme, it'll say like people are talking about you in rooms that
Yes,
you're not even in. I think it
yes,
goes something like that. But
yes.
it's true. Like I had a phone call a couple of years ago and somebody was just like, "Oh, I'm having a author event and somebody told me that you was an author." Like that's all they said was she was an author. And I was in the room again with people that I didn't know, and actually I was the only one that looked like me. And so I was just okay.
That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, it's a whole other topic. But yes, but I was just like, wow. And I still don't know to this day who even referred her to me. But she got right on the phone. She called me up and invited me. And of course, just that one little word, yes, opens up so many doors and so many opportunities for you. So I thank you for sharing, even that short amount of time about your journey of obedience and God opening up doors for you. So I know we talked a little bit about the apparel, like your t-shirt brand. So can you just tell the audience exactly like what all entails of the apparel and your
Well,
brand?
we have scriptures such as Fearless, which is our lion face. Right now, we also have our fall collection. We have some sweatshirts, crew neck sweatshirts available. One of the designs is Fisher of Men, so it has a fish on there for those who are going out spreading the word, our evangelists and men and women of God, can purchase that. We also have our RhemaCreationz brand crew neck as well with the kente design in there. So we right now, and then we have our books. Of course, we have Concrete Rose, Secret Place in Abba. We have Broken Vessels, Letters to Abba. Also, we have Harvest, the Anthology of Hope, that my awesome church family, we all wrote this book together and released that book. Seasons of the Soul. And then When Women Empower, we just released our book that, bless God, became a
Yes,
bestseller,
yes.
called We Don't Look Like What We've Been Through. So been doing a lot of writing as of lately. And so that is available on our website to purchase too, if anyone is interested.
Awesome. Did you ever see yourself as an
You
author?
know what? I'm going to tell you something. I have been writing since I was a kid. But I never saw myself as
Okay.
an author. I would write little short stories. I would write little, encouraging notes to my friends, and whatnot. But I never thought I would be a writer. And I had a dream where it was like, you need to write. And I'm like, what am I write about? Ain't nobody interested in my life. Like, what am I? Yeah. So I never thought I would be a writer.
Wow, look at you, bestseller, and
I'm
look
grateful.
at you. Let's see,
Won't he
won't
do
he
it?
do it? Won't he
Yes. Yes, God.
do it? Yes, I think I shared that when we were at the brunch. Because I was like, y'all not gonna believe this. Like when I was doing my speech, like, um, if you ask me in like, let's see, I'm 46, so if you asked me 30
Yeah.
something years ago, if I was gonna be an author or a writer, I would have been like, no, I just want to get these
Right?
papers done in English and turn it into the teacher, get a grade, and I'm finished. Um, But yeah, so God works in mysterious ways because 6 books later and counting apparently. I'm gonna be obedient. I'm gonna be obedient. And yeah, so but yeah, I can't wait. I downloaded the Women in Power book. So I definitely gonna get some
Thank you
time
for
to read
support.
it and enjoy it. Because I got quite a few sister friends in there, so I want to make sure I read and share with other people about it. So Broken
Mhm.
Vessels. Can you tell more about the book Broken
Yes,
Vessels?
broken vessels is that term is what I've always had in my heart when I first truly like when I let go for real, like completely. I've been saved a couple times. But when I surrendered for real was in December 31st, 2010. And it was just me and God. I wasn't, at a church. I did go to a church that evening for the New Year celebration or whatnot, but I just knew it was time for me to stop drinking, stop partying. And I did always feel like a broken vessel. I felt like it was pieces of me that were broken. I felt like it was areas in me that was not whole. I just couldn't pinpoint it. I couldn't figure out what exactly it was. So it took quite some time to realize that those pieces were some issues from childhood, mama, daddy issues, um, relationship issues, abuse. I was in a domestic relationship. In my first marriage, I was married before. So there was like low self esteem. There was assault even in the marriage, and so I was messed up. I was a messed up something, right? And I remember watching this movie called The Shack, and there's this part. I
Oh
love
yeah.
that movie. But there's this part where he's in this garden and they put this little poisonous thing there, and she's telling him like this beautiful mess is you. And it's just like, I'm a beautiful mess. Like, God sees all this going on in my life. He sees all of that. And yet he still wants to use all of it for his glory. So even though there were broken pieces, I still was willing. I still was a vessel that wanted to be used by God, still want to be used by God, to be a blessing to others. So that's how it came about.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm over here like, yeah. Because one of my mentors, I was at a conference and he said you can still be, oh, how did he phrase it? He said you could still be a work in progress and be a blessing
Mm-hmm.
to others. And I threw my pen
That's
across
right.
the room.
That's true.
It was in Florida. And I threw the pen across the room. He was like, yo, I was like, that's what I came for. I came just to hear you say that. Like, just to hear you say that. Because I was a mess. And I was like, but I was determined to get to his conference. And so when he said that, because I was like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I want to do. I just know I have this dream that God gave me in this vision. And I wonder, and my thing was, it wasn't even to help myself, it was to help others. Like, I don't want no other moms to have to go through
Right.
what I went through with the separation, taking care of a child that was premature, um having to go from doctor's appointments to doctor's appointments, some days not
Mm,
even sleeping, like multiple days, and then still having to get up and go to
right.
my job, and then still having to come right home and then go right back into taking care of my son, and then having another child, so taking care of 2 children along with my son having all these medical conditions. And so I was just like, I just want to give the other
Right.
moms a break. Like, I just want them to see, and we talk about self care all the time, and I'm like, and then I had to take a step back and was like, well, who's caring for you? Like, who's
Right.
caring for you, Levon? So I had to start actually going out there and saying it, but actually doing it
Right.
myself as well. And so when he said that, that just like, I was like, that's why I'm here. Like, that's exact. I was like, you said a mouthful in that little
Right.
time, and I remind you, he was talking the whole week at the conference. But I was like, that's the only thing I
Mhm.
came for. And so just to watch God from that moment up until now, like bring us to where we are, um, it's just amazing. It's amazing. Like you were saying earlier, like you just had your last
Yeah.
$20. And it was like, do we feed ourselves or do we feed this person
Mhm.
that's asking, to be fed? And so y'all sold
Mhm.
into that person and gave them, the opportunity to have a meal that night, knowing that God was going to
Yeah.
take care of y'all. And so God is
Yes,
so
he is.
amazing. And he knows he pretty much knows us before we
Right.
know ourselves, before our parents
Right.
even know us. So to know that we have this, this journey that we
Mhm.
have to go through. And I think I said this too when me and Roz was on here, that I just tell God to like use all my
Mhm.
gifts. Like I want to come back to him
Empty.
empty. Like I want to make sure everything that I was supposed to do on this earth I did. And I do, like, I'm gonna be honest, I do second guess
Mhm.
myself sometimes, because I'm like, am I supposed to do that? Am I not supposed to do that? Am I supposed to go there? Like I said on Saturday, I was like, I get here, like, and my
We
daughter just
excited.
dancing and having fun. I'm just looking around like,
Yeah.
wow. But that's all to say that he already has a path for us. I pray every morning, God, order my steps. And sometimes my steps that I didn't even think, I was going to walk in that direction, but that's the
Mhm.
way he told me to go. And with our obedience, we wind up in, different situations, different environments that, that we're blessed in. Like even with, Dr. Tiffany Harris, I was at an event and she sat next to
Mm.
me. And I was like, oh, and she gave me like, she reminded me of Lisa Nichols, which, that is
Yeah. That's
one
a
of her
good one.
mentors. And I was like, oh, she cool. And then she sat next to me doing the event, but then she got up and she was one of the panelists. So I was like, oh, she's part of the program. Like,
Yeah.
and then after that, I joined her
Mhm.
community. But now she like my speaking coach. Like it was just like if I didn't sit in that seat and I had to sit somewhere else, but God still
Yeah.
had put us together in this journey. Like would I have met
Yeah.
you? Would I have met all the other
Right.
sister friends? And it's like you never know. But when I ask him to order my steps, he
Mhm.
definitely orders my steps. Like Levon is where I want you to
Yeah.
be. Levon is where I want you to be. So Latoya, share with the audience some of the things that God has said. Latoya, this is where I want you and your husband to be, or this is what I want y'all to do. And through your obedience, he's opened up doors for
Um,
you. So just share if you could
um,
think of one, because I know he
yeah.
opened up many.
Well, one come to think of it is Dr. Tiffany Harris. I was my girlfriend lives in Alabama, and we're just talking, and she was like, "Have you ever thought about putting a podcast on Podcast Nation, like putting it on groups that are podcasts and stuff?" So I was like, "No, I didn't even know that." So I decided to put it up there on Podcast Nation because they said, "Hey, anybody doing anything? Here's your day to share it." So, girl, I shared it, and all of a sudden, three people reached out. One of them was Tiffany. So I went back to get the email that was under the post, and they reported it and said I was not able to post. And so I couldn't get her information or nothing, but just so happens, my God, I talked about it at the event. Just so happened, she saw my email attached to the flyer requesting guests. And so she emailed me. So that was how we were able to defy the technology. Amen. Uh, and that email
Amen.
got through, and I got in touch with Tiff. I'm telling you, it literally was removed. I have no idea where it's at, nothing.
Mm.
So we were able to connect with each other. And Tiffany, we had our interview. She was a guest on my podcast. And then I asked her, I felt led. I said, can I ask you if you would come to our prayer brunch? And she said, sure. So in 2022, she came to the prayer brunch. Then I asked her, I said, my cousin is doing an event in Philly. Do you want to come? And she said, sure. Now, mind you, I was still struggling with women, like in the sense of trying to connect with other women because they want to be
Connect with
connected in
mm-hmm.
unity and
Mm-hmm.
sisterhood. but we done been through some challenges, okay? And I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna ask her. And she came. And then she said, hey, I'm having a When Women Empower brunch in 2023. You want to come? So I went. So that is how it just keep progressing. And then she's like, hey, I'm starting this group. You wanna be a part of it? I'm like, I don't know, I was being honest with her, Tiff no. So I was like, I don't know, sis, because people be saying, and it was like I didn't realize until now more than ever how loving When Women Empower is, as well as Bohm Global, Ladies of Leadership. Such supportive women for real. If you got something going on, Lavon, we may not be able to be there because of our distance, but we're going to share it. We're going to like it. We're going to support, so into it, whatever. That is what I appreciate about the visionary of these groups. And Tiffany definitely was a divine connection. Because if I did not listen to my girlfriend all the way in Alabama, I wouldn't have put that post up there. And even though it was some issues, God still made sure me and her connected. And when she surprised us with that citation, the awards, the little gem she made for us writing in the book, I was just overwhelmed with God's love that day. So that definitely was a God
Yeah,
moment.
yeah, it definitely was. It was. I feel like it was full circle for you because I
Yeah.
saw the tears and I saw it. And it was. It wasn't just you. It was a couple of other sister friends that it touched. Like just to see their names on that citation. So God definitely see you guys, working and moving and moving in His Word and helping His people. So it's amazing. It's definitely amazing. I was trying to hold back tears, even though I had already did my speech, but I was like, I'm not gonna cry. I gotta sit up here with all the speakers. And I was right in the front. So I was like, so I caught everything. I caught tears. I caught y'all laughters. I caught everything. So I was right in the front. But it definitely was a great experience. So we're gonna ask Latoya. So if you could share with us like your social media, how the audience can contact you, how they can get your books, and the apparel, as well as if you want to leave one thing, like it could be a quote, a scripture, or just something from your heart that you want to leave with the audience. And then I'll allow you to share all that with the audience as we end the podcast.
Yes, most definitely. You can reach out. I am on Facebook under Latoya Washington as a writer page. Also my personal page is on there too, Latoya Washington. And then our Instagram as well as TikTok and what's the other one? Facebook, RhemaCreationz is RhemaCreationz. You can reach out to us on there. All of our links to our website to purchase books and things like that is available there. Our YouTube channel is Rhema Healing for our business page and Broken Vessels Podcast for the podcast. One thing I would say, I know that life can be hard and I know life can be challenging and we all have been through things, but don't become bitter. No matter what, stay loving, stay joyful, walk in peace, walk in love, walk in the spirit, walk in joy, and keep God first. And that's what I want to say to those today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Latoya, for saying yes and coming on. I learned some new things about you. And it's always a pleasure being in your presence. Like I said, I attended your workshop that you had on Facebook and, being with you at the brunch and, being with you at our When Women Empower meetings. Like, just like you said, like that's one organization that it pours into each other. Like we pour into each other, like no matter what's going on. Like you said, whether it's a like, share, whether I need something. I know one day I was on there and I was just like crying and praying. And I had like so many text messages afterwards of people, coming and checking on me. And it's very rare, like you said, that we have that experience with other women. But that is
It
it's a great
definitely,
feeling. It's
yeah.
definitely a great feeling. So I'm
Yeah,
glad that I
I met
met
you
you.
too.
And I'm glad that, we're in like, the similar field. So we can have that
Yeah.
conversation and we understand what we're talking about when we say, a typical day is not a typical day. And, just being able to, help families, whether they the babies all the way to
Amen.
the adults. We love being, helping hands to
Amen.
them. So thank you for
Thank you for
coming on.
having me, honey.
Um, you're welcome. To our audience, always be a blessing, be positive. Don't forget to, take a day or time, a few minutes, whatever you can during the day to take care of yourself. Again, we're working on a few projects. So one is we're looking for moms, 25 moms, so we can do our anthology book. So we're working on that, and then also our apparel. We had some t-shirts in the past, but we've been working on rebranding. And so that should be launching in a few weeks. And then you'll see it on our YouTube or on our social media. Again, our social media for Facebook is Advocate for Me, the number 2. Our social media for Instagram is Advocate for Me. The number 2, I believe, too. I think it's _2. We got hacked in the past, so I had to put all these twos behind them. And then our email is info@lmadvocateforme.com. And our website is www.lmadvocateforme.com. So we thank you for listening to our episode today. I hope, however me and Latoya can help you, whether it was through this podcast or whether you follow us and we bless you with resources or information or just rocking the apparel.
Yeah.
And spreading God's word through her apparel. But thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Latoya, for
You're welcome.
coming on. And we look forward to next time.